if he's not on some sort of magical drug, somebody needs to clone him.
I think they did produce 2 clones of him. I don't know if they're going to produce any more, but they did produce 2 clones of him.
50%.
What? I don't get the joke.
They have 2 kids. He's been cloned twice.
Oh. That's not. First of all, that's not cloning at all. That is a mixture of 2 different DNAs.
It is a cocktail of DNA.
It's a red eye, is what it is.
You know how to make a red eye, Mr. What's your name?
Brian Flanagan. No, I'm sorry I haven't had the pleasure as yet.
What about a vodka martini with a Pernod float?
I'm a fast learner.
Jazz here, and I am so digging the Geekcast Radio Network.
Greetings, humans. This is Starscream, and you're listening to Toycast. And if any of you call me a parts former one more time...
Now, Toycast. Oh, yes. Listen in to the only toy podcast you will ever need.
Hello and welcome to Toycast. This is episode 183, I believe. I'm, of course, TF2 and Mike. Joining me in the first time ever for the 3 of us being on a podcast together, we have Josh the Floorburger.
Hey, what's going on?
Not much. And of course, damn it, he's going to kill me, folks, but you love that flavor. It's David Draper.
Well.
Wow. Reaction. Yay.
I mean,
I know. It's from the old days.
It's from the very old days.
Yes, and I am very old.
Was that back from your rapping days?
No, that was back from the Pop Culture Network days.
No, I know. Maybe some of our listeners don't realize that you were once a rapper, but maybe that's just me.
Yes.
That's just in your head, Josh. That's only in your own head canon. Yeah.
I actually appreciate the way you describe that.
We are here to talk about toys. Yes, folks, the Top 100 Toys Countdown is still coming. Optimus Solo is assembling the lists and compiling all his meth that he has to do to get what our Top 100 list will eventually be. So that production will happen hopefully before the end of the year, I assume. But I've moved all of that so we can do some of the display case episodes here on Toycast, only on the Geekcast Radio Network. We each have 3 very different toys. Who wants to go first?
Since I've done a few of these, I'd actually love to hear from Dave first, if he's okay with that.
Okay. Mine is the vintage Kenner Jurassic Park large Tyrannosaurus, JP09, from 1993. 93 was the year I graduated college. And I was at the mall, and I knew Jurassic Park was coming out. Like I'd known since my sophomore year, I think, because it was a big story at the time before the book even came out. They had optioned the rights. So my whole senior year was a countdown to Jurassic Park, and I went to KB, and they had all these cool toys, and I wanted really nice dinosaur toys forever since I was a kid, and I just had to have it, and I actually kind of borrowed some money to buy it. And I got this cool, the original line of Kenner's Jurassic Park toys and their model kits came with collector cards. So if you spend enough money at KB Toys, you got a little sheet, like a little poster of all the cards lined up. So I have that too. I have that framed and up on the wall. And I actually have 2 of those Tyrannosaurs because I got one in 93, like I said, and he's loose and he's with all my other my original Jurassic Park toys. And then I have a little kind of Jurassic Park shrine, I guess you could say, upstairs, and I managed to Floorburger brokered a deal with a dealer he knew that had a bunch of stuff, and it had a boxed Tyrannosaurus. So I have two of them. I have a boxed one and I have a loose one.
Very cool, very cool. That's the way it always should be. One in the box, one out of the box.
If you can afford it.
Yeah, okay, in this case, yes, but...
And I think, and we've looked at a couple pictures of it. I'm still looking at a couple pictures. I think it's just as impressive in the box as it is out. It's got a great display piece. It's got the Jurassic Park logo, the name of it. Is the one you have the one with the orange and yellow gradient in the background, like a sunset?
Yes.
Yeah, and it's just such, and it's that interesting time period where you could reach out and touch the toy and feel what do they call it? The real skin or
the real feel skin? Yeah, nowadays we do a solid box, but back then they didn't have plastic either. They just had an open box.
And it was so unique. It was such a tactile experience because there's only a few toys out there that I remember from that age. Because you were graduating college, I was going into 4th grade. But there weren't a lot of toys out there that had that tactile feel to it.
Well, yeah, I think that was one of the big selling points for Jurassic Park was that kind of rubbery dinosaur skin feel. That also played into the dino damage gimmick, which the big T-Rex doesn't have. Most of the other ones do, which is like a little chunk of flesh that you can pull out and you can see like bones and muscle underneath. So because it was rubbery, it kind of fit, the little extra piece kind of fit in the thing a little bit better than it would have if it was plastic.
Yeah. I'm kind of glad this doesn't have dino damage. As cool as dino damage is on these on the other Jurassic Park toys, I like this being clean.
Well, yeah, he does the damage.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to get yelled at by fans. And it's kind of, it's how I always go off on tangents. It's kind of an interesting thing because the earliest toys, because you got to go into production way before the movie, they were more based on the book. Which is why you have two T-Rexes. You had the big T-Rex and the little T-Rex, because in the book, there were two of them. That's also why the Dilophosaurs are bigger, and there's a couple other, why Nedry doesn't look anything like Wayne Knight,
Yeah.
Well, Nedry has muscles and such.
Yeah.
I just sent you guys a picture. I just found an article about sort of the differences between some original designs and the maquette and what the actual figures were. I'll share the link later.
Yeah, later.
Oh, I love the paint job on the maquette.
Yeah, that is cool. Very cool.
But I remember, and I was mentioning this before we started recording, that I was, like I said, going into 3rd or 4th grade when it came out. Jurassic Park scared me as a kid. I was leaving the theater during the Dilophosaurus scene. I still have to admit to that. And when I would go to Walmart with my mom, and this is back in the day when you could leave your kid in the toy aisle for a few hours while you're shopping and they were safe and it was okay, I would just stare at all the Jurassic Park toys, and I loved every single one. And I had a large variety of toys, and I still do, but I never got a single Jurassic Park toy as a kid, and I never understood why. Maybe my family didn't think I was interested or whatnot, but it was such an amazing line. It was so detailed. There were some of the best dinosaur toys you could find at the time. And
they have their limitations. I mean, some of them, like the big T-Rex has articulated, his tiny little arms are articulated, but none of the legs were articulated, which was a little disappointing. I think a lot of sacrifices were made for the action gimmicks. Yeah, they were really cool. I mean, when I graduated college, I was not the collector that I am now. I wasn't collecting anything. I was a college graduate. I was going to get a job and be a grown-up. And it was just that I loved dinosaurs so much. And this was just such a cool toy that, this is something I bought before I was even technically a collector.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's almost an anomaly in the collection because it's not something I had from when I was a kid. The college was kind of this dividing line between when I was a kid and then I went to college and I didn't buy toys. And then for about a year or two after college, I didn't really buy toys. And then I started collecting, and then right as I started collecting, that's when they came out with Power of the Force 2. So the T-Rex is kind of occupies this special place. So he's really the only one I had at the time.
Yeah.
I've gone back and bought all of them, but he was the only Jurassic Park toy that I really felt strongly enough about just having one.
But it is sort of one of those types of toys you can have, whether you're a collector or you're someone who's trying to become a quote unquote adult. you can have this on your coffee table, on your shelf in your house, and it's just a really cool T-Rex. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily a toy. It's a conversation piece.
No, it's a toy.
It's a toy, but it's not just a toy. Let me rephrase that.
You can use it as a conversation piece, but because it's designed, a lot of stuff that I get now are for collectors. So yeah, it's and these things are a lot rougher. They're not rougher, but they can take a lot more damage. They can take a lot more abuse. They can, because they're designed to be played with by kids with sticky fingers and smashing into things and, being dropped. So, I mean, there's a durability about it that something like Beasts of the Mesozoic doesn't have. As gorgeous and wonderful and articulated as they are, like I bumped into one of the, I forget which one it was, one of the ceratopsians, and like the horn just popped right off.
Yeah, those don't go through product testing.
Yeah, well, yeah, because they don't have to. Whereas the Jurassic Park, Triceratops, it's got like a soft rubbery horn because, we don't want to poke anybody's eyes out.
Yeah, no. No poking the eyes out. Yeah, I never had a lot of dinosaur toys I'm 4 years older than Josh and whatever.
Yeah.
But growing up in the 80s, like I said off air, I was, 6 in 86 when, I decided to, choose poorly on certain, or I said this on a different show. But it's just one of those things where I liked dinosaurs. I liked watching various things with dinosaurs. I think the closest thing I had to dinosaurs was the Dinobots from Transformers. Unless you count my dinosaur bed sheets my mom bought me, but nobody counts those. But I don't know. I just never had, as a kid back then in the 80s, that just wasn't my jam. But this is awesome. This is very cool.
Well, one question for you. The dinosaur bed sheets, was it that 80s dinosaur bed sheets that had the very different colored dinosaurs, very boldly colored, cartoonish dinosaurs? I'm not sure if I'm the only one who had those. I don't think I was.
The Tyrannosaurus Rex was red. The Triceratops, and I'm saying this, and it has nothing to do with a certain thing that came out in 1993. Folks, Voltron was a thing before Power Rangers. The Tyrannosaurus was red. The Triceratops was blue, and the pterodactyl was yellow.
Yeah, I'll send a picture right now.
I don't want to see your picture of your bed sheets. Thank you very much.
I'm not sending you a picture of my.
Don't send me any pictures right now. We're recording a podcast. Stop it. So yeah, I love this. I think this thing is really cool. It's very fun.
It is a piece that I wish if I ever had the opportunity to get, I'd go back and get it. But I do love my giant Mattel version that I'm not going to hide things in the belly of, like a friend told me that she does. However, it is going to be receiving a paint job relatively soon.
Well, for Lost World, they did a different T-Rex that you can put stuff in. You can feed it figures, and it's got a belly too that you can keep stuff in.
I was searching for that for years and kept looking for it. Had a few opportunities to get it, but the price wasn't right. And when this one came out, I had to jump on it because you can even fit 6-inch figures down it.
Yeah, it's pretty big.
Jar Jar lived in the stomach of the T-Rex for a little while.
That is how you end up having him go to the dark side and basically ruining everybody's lives. Stop that.
Well, if he gets eaten and digested, he's certainly going to become a kind of dark side.
That's what they said about Boba Fett, yet look what Disney Plus series we have. Ugh. All right, what do you got, Josh? What are you going to talk about tonight?
So I'm actually going to stay in the Kenner sector.
Okay.
And I picked Stone Armor Goliath from the Kenner Gargoyles series in 1995.
Mm-hmm.
And that is at least what I feel is the release year. That's what the internet is telling me. But I picked that one for a couple different reasons. I was a huge fan of the show Gargoyles. Did either of you watch it?
Yeah, I watched
No.
bits of it.
So I got into it for a couple of reasons. I really like the Middle Ages. I like medieval times, not necessarily the restaurant and tournament, but I've always appreciated that era quite a bit. Mm-hmm. I love teaching it in school right now. So actually my favorite unit to teach is the Middle Ages unit. And when this came out, it was a combination of, for me, the Middle Ages, kind of Ninja Turtles, but also Batman the Animated Series. It kind of hit a lot of sweet spots for me.
Mm-hmm.
And when the toys came out, I was a little bit older. So 95, I'm going into 5th grade, maybe 4th to 5th grade.
Yeah, it's about right.
And mid-90s, Kenner toys, Hasbro toys, you had a couple different issues you had to deal with. One, the crazy pre-posed stylings of a lot of figures that made them very hard to stand, action features, and weird gimmicks. And the Gargoyles line was plagued by that. But the best, most basic figure you could get in the entire line was Stone Armor Goliath, because he was a Goliath figure that was relatively close to the cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't have an action feature, really. You could squeeze his legs and his wings would kind of flap. It was very minimal flappage.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's a word, but we're going to say it is. And he just had this clip-on stone armor, 3 pieces, legs, and 2 pieces for his torso and arms, and had a weird spear thing that just was a thing. And he also had detachable wings and a tail. But it was the one that looked the closest to the cartoon out of all of the Goliath figures. So remember it being very popular and scarce when I was searching for it as a kid. So this is like 95. So I'm a little bit more aware of things, but not really in the know of that there are resellers and people who would buy it up to sell it in comic shops, which was a situation that I ran into when I realized that that was a thing in the world. But when I finally got my hands on it, it was for me, such a perfect figure and a perfect time, because I was hitting that age of, do you still play with toys or do you not? And it's when I started going a little bit more underground with playing with toys. I didn't really talk to people at school about it. You know, the couple of friends I had, we were okay with it, but it wasn't really something you broadcasted as a 5th and 6th grader. But the figure was so well done at the time because he didn't have a crazy pose. He was well sized. He was in scale. If you put him next to a Batman figure, for instance, it made sense. He was bigger, just like in the cartoon. It fit very nicely. And I always thought about customizing it because his wings, if you look at some of the pictures in the link I sent you, his wings shoot straight backwards.
Yep.
And even if you squeezed his legs, they didn't sort of fan out like a bat. They didn't have a whole lot of range to them. So his wings were kind of pointless. And the problem with this figure is that because the wings were easily detachable, the tail was detachable, you could lose the most important parts of him forever. So eventually, growing up, his wings disappeared. I finally found some to transfer over to him later on in life as he went into my collection. But it was such a wonderful iteration of this cartoon character, and I spent probably 95, 96 going into 97 watching the entire series in the morning before I went to school, because they usually had about 2 episodes from 6 to 7. So I'd wake up at 6, watch both episodes all year round. From when I was in school through the summer, I'd watch 2 episodes, and it really pulls in a lot of great mythology, both Greek, Roman, Japanese, even a lot of Shakespearean literature gets pulled into the series.
Yep. That
as an adult I'm appreciating, and it's just a very well done, iconic figure for me. And now that NECA has put out 14 different versions of him, it's even more ironic because Kenner put out 35 different versions of Goliath, and all of these, 35 is an exaggeration, but you have hardwired Goliath, and then there's, what was this one? There was a Minotaur Goliath, and a Griffin Goliath, and a Flamestorm Goliath, and all of these weird Kenner variations that they would come out with. But it was just such a solid, well done figure that I had to bring it up. It was just a great time in my life, because I think even my mom at the time realized I was trying to be a little bit more secretive about playing with toys, because my brothers didn't approve of it. My dad didn't approve of it, but she got me this kind of secretly. Like it just sort of showed up one day because we found it. She got it. She hid it in the groceries. Nobody knew about it. and then it wound up in my bedroom when I got home.
Well, there you go. That's awesome. That's cool. Yeah, I watched this show off and on. It wasn't something I really caught back in the 90s when it premiered. I was more into the superhero stuff. And what you're saying about the toys, you say 35 is an exaggeration. I can probably count at least 20 different variations of Batman. Like, there's Arctic Ice Batman, there's Heat Blast. I don't know if there's Heat Blast Batman from that era, but like,
sure, why not?
Look at all the iterations of each Ninja Turtle from that era. Like, come on. Like, they made, 35, I don't think. And plus, you got Keith David as doing the voice. Oh, man. Yeah. Keith David's voice as Goliath. Oh, boy. Like, that's a guy that does not need to put on a character voice. His voice is the voice.
Yeah, and one of the interesting things about this toy line is that you got a couple of variations of characters that were pretty close to what they were going for. So there's a Broadway figure that's very close to the original Broadway, Lexington, Hudson, all these figures. And then you get to some of the iconic characters. So there was the supporting character, Eliza Maza, who is the love interest for Goliath. And she has a very simple outfit: red jacket, blue jeans, black hair. They gave her some crazy tactical, futuristic, sci-fi jetpack police officer outfit. Looks nothing like the character from the show. The main bad guy has a couple different versions that aren't even close. So that's why I really like what NECA is doing. NECA.
It's NECA. How many times do we have to tell you it's NECA?
At least one more time, sir.
Stop it.
And I have a feeling that they're going to stretch out their molds and start doing some homages to, for instance, Flame Storm Goliath, who is a repaint of one of the original releases, and he looks like he's on fire for some reason. Or Griffin Goliath, where he looks like the genie from Aladdin and is wearing bird armor. What it never happened in the show. In fact, it looks like he made armor out of another gargoyle in the show that looked like a griffin. He looks like he just ripped him apart and turned him into armor. So it was a crazy line, but that figure was always very iconic for me because I actually remember our school newspaper in 5th grade, 6th grade. They did a review of toys at the time, which I thought was crazy because I thought 5th grade, you're too old to play with toys. And they actually said that Goliath figure was one of the best figures from that line. It was the closest looking to him, and everybody was after it. And it apparently was a very scarce toy at the time. So my mom usually understood when I said, this is hard to find. We have to get it right now. And when I said that, she always respected it. And that's why I have some very rare toys, even to this day, that she picked up for me.
That is very, very cool. Yeah, it's a good figure. It looks awesome. It looks great.
For what it is, it's great. I have a second version of it that lives in my Masters of the Universe Classics Castle Grayskull.
Mm-hmm. Very cool, very cool. And it's funny you're talking about that because it reminds me of when a couple of years ago, it's been longer than a couple of years ago, in 2018, 2019, I don't know, one of them damn years. Funko does, or they still do them. They do various like collector boxes at various stores. So they usually do a GameStop box every year. And the theme one year was Disney Afternoon. Yep. Well, guess what they threw in there? They threw in there a Goliath and Angela, but they gave them chase figures as well. And the chase figure versions of those Funko Pops are basically them as stone.
Yeah, I have both the Goliath, like the non-stone version, and I hate to say it, but the stoned version of Goliath as well. I have both.
We know what you mean. It's not that Goliath is off trying to be a joker or anything. So, yeah, speaking of Funko Pop chases, something I got recently over the last month or so, I ended up getting the Duck Dodgers Funko Pop chase. And the reason why the chase version is different from the original version of the Pop is that it's metallic. This is the first time I've taken the thing out of the box, and I did not realize that he comes with his helmet on, like literally. So everyone should know what a Funko Pop looks like. Their heads are huge. This thing's head is like 3 times larger because there's a giant clear plastic helmet encasing the head of the Funko Pop. I can't anymore, folks. This is just crazy. Yeah. Fully molded in on there. Holy crap. I always liked Duck Dodgers, even though I was 22, 23 when it aired. It's a good cartoon. Really dug it back in the day.
Was there an episode where he became a Green Lantern?
Yes, that was called the Green Lantern, actually. And
I remember the actual Chuck Jones cartoon.
Me too.
I'm old.
I do too. I remember the original Duck Dodgers in the 24th and a half century. And that cartoon was awesome. That cartoon was pretty much just him. I mean, there was IQ High. I don't know if Space Cadet was a thing. I think he was.
I think he was. Didn't he fight Marvin the Martian in that one?
Yeah. He always... Okay, yes, I remember. Yeah. It's been a while, folks. But yes, I do remember the original Duck Dodgers. But the series that Spike Jones did... Not Spike Jones. Shit. Spike Brandt. I'm sorry. Wow. How did I screw that up? The series that Spike Brandt did, it actually had Joe Oleske as Daffy / Duck Dodgers. It had Bob Bergen as Porky Pig. I forget who was playing Marvin at the time, but it had Tia Carrera as the evil Martian Queen. So that was something they added to the show, I believe. I don't remember the Martian Queen in the original. I believe it was just them versus, it was just them. But hey, it works. But that's what this is from. It's from the 2003 Cartoon Network show. And I like that show. I'm going to have to go back and watch that. I believe it's streaming on Boomerang currently still, unless they've moved it. And I did not realize how extra large his head is because he's got the giant space helmet over it. It's very cool.
I do see the pictures you sent me.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, we've always joked about Pops and stuff like that. I appreciate the variety and the common scale and the universe they create.
Uh-huh.
I do love it when I see them extend themselves a little bit beyond what they typically do and adding that bubble.
Yeah.
And I think that's just a ton of fun. I have to appreciate that quite a bit because that's the stuff that catches my eye. I go to Target, I see the stacks of Pops and boxes, and I'll admit they just kind of all blend together. But you throw something like that space bubble on his head and it stands out. It catches my eye. I'm not saying I would get it, but I do like that fun. Let's just go for broke. Let's do something unique. And it gets me.
Yeah, it's very, very cool. A friend of mine in one of the Instagram group chats that I'm in said that they had this for sale, and it was $36, which isn't bad for a So I know you guys know all about Chase figures with other things, but the Funko Pop Chase game is just crazy because some of those prices on those Chases are just nuts.
I saw a guy at Target recently. He was standing there just scanning, I think, 10 or so Pops. He just was standing there, scan.
Yep.
I don't know what he was scanning for, but...
Well, so if somebody is unless they're an employee, if it's just a regular customer is scanning Funko Pops, it's probably they're looking up what the value is of them, most likely. You've got HobbyDB that does the value tracking for Funko Pops, so that's probably what that was for, maybe, unless he was doing something nefarious, which with Funko Pop collectors would not surprise me, sadly. And the funny thing is, now that I have this, I now need to get the Space Cadet chase, because the Space Cadet chase is also metallic. I don't know if he actually has the helmet on his head, but yeah, very cool. So dinosaurs, stone statues, and ducks, folks. That's tonight's topic.
I like the overlap, though, because we went from Kenner to another Kenner.
To
Funko, and I have the character I mentioned in Funko Pop version. He's sitting up on my miscellaneous shelf.
Awesome.
I do not. It's not that I have anything against the Funko Pops, but the Jurassic Park ones, the dinosaurs just never spoke to me.
Yeah, understandable. I mean, it's what you've had your whole collecting journey, except in Funko Pop form, it's probably not something you want because you actually have the actual toys that the actual thing was from.
Well, I mean, like I'm like I said, I have a little kind of Jurassic Park shrine upstairs, and I'm literally looking at it, and it's not just like because I have the Kenner one in the box, and then I don't have the Mattel version of it, but I've got a Mattel T-Rex, which is why I don't have the actual red one, because I've got a lot of Mattel T-Rexes. And then I've got like the Lego one. They're all kind of lined up. It's just that Funko, like there's something about the Funko thing didn't work for me with dinosaurs, with the predatory dinosaurs.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to be menacing when you're cute and cuddly.
It's hard to split the baby on that one. You either go cute or you go menacing.
Yeah.
I think with the T-Rex, generally you want to go menacing, but that's just my...
Well, yeah.
There's Chopper from Land Before Time. Okay,
fair enough.
Was super cute. Like I said, you either go one way or the other, and I think Funko Pop tried to split it, and it didn't work for me.
Yeah. I will say a lot of their moments from the movie, like the Muldoon Raptor hunt, which is a pop moment, which is basically just a scene recreation. I think those are cool. Like they have, is it split in two or is it two? They did, was it this one? What year was this? Funko Pop exclusive. Yeah. This year they released the T-Rex Breakout 2-pack set. So it's the breakout scene. But
yeah, that's where my Lego
pops.
one. Like I have the Lego version of that. That's where my Lego T-Rex comes from.
Yep. So they have that. Yes.
So sorry, I was actually going to ask Dave a question because I was always very used to hear him talking about current toy news and the things he was into and getting with the Dave and Duvall podcast. But Dave, what were your thoughts on the Jurassic Park Mattel crowdfunding effort for the entrance gates and everything?
It was a weird set. I think they should have included some of the, what do you call it? Stretch goal things a little earlier.
Yeah.
It was like, it's weird because like if they just offered the gates at retail, I would have bought them because it's a very iconic part of the mythos in the movie. But I don't know that I really wanted to crowdfund it, to spend a lot of money for it. And you get another Ford Explorer. You get slight variations on, I think, Tim, and Lex has a hat. I don't know. It was just weird. I don't think it worked.
I just got Tim and Lex for $4 at Target, and that there was a gift pack for that.
Yeah, I know. I got it when it came out, so it wasn't $4. So.
Yeah, mine was $4, and then I think I got both. I have two Explorers. I got them both on clearance for less than $10.
Yeah, well, some people pay the waiting game, and some people need it right away.
No, and I totally understand that. For me, I just, like you said, if they would have put the gates out retail, I'd probably be interested in the gates at retail. That's a very iconic piece. That's why I want the command center, because that does come with, I believe, or command compound. I forgive me, I don't remember the name, but I think they did come with gates, didn't they?
Oh yeah. Yes,
and so you want gates? I got your gates right here.
No. Yeah, he's at a Pop one.
Yep.
You said we weren't setting pictures because we're in the middle of a Pop.
We are now. Since we're done talking about the toys, we're talking about other stuff. So, yeah.
I would want more to scale. I actually have seen that. And
right, yeah, that's fine. I'm just saying, like, you're talking about Gates, and I'm sitting here on HobbyDB looking through every single Jurassic Park listing that they have to see.
No, that's great. I actually considered getting that at one point. It just wasn't in scale to what I had.
Yeah.
And there are some things I don't care about scale, and then there's some things I'm very particular about my scale. So, which reminds me, Dave and Blanchard, you guys got to come up and see my collection one day. One day, when you can, when you're up here for a good reason.
We've talked about this off air. We will talk about this off air again.
I'm putting you both on the spot right now, live in front of our studio audience.
Oh, okay. Well, if you're putting me on the spot live in front of our studio audience, if you want to give me the $500 for the Uber, sure, great, fine. I don't drive.
I'll give you $2.50 at a can of Coke.
Not going to cover it.
All right. Well, then I think we're at an impasse at this moment.
Anything else you guys want to bring up?
No.
I have a lot of questions for Dave off air. But
okay.
That's about it. No, just stuff you're into. I don't know. I haven't heard from you in a while.
No, I know. I appreciate that. Like, I'm trying to, like, it was explained to me that the toy shelf was supposed to focus on the toy shelf, so I'm trying to be good this time. Last time I went off a huge rant.
And I'm a miscreant, so I get yelled at all the time.
Yes, well, I'm not trying to yell at anybody, even though I'm yelling at you people.
Yes, you are.
It was just a...
It's fine.
We've gotten the main part of the episode done. The three of us talked about the toys we were going to talk about. Now it's like, all right, I don't want to be here for 7 hours, but we can talk about whatever we want to talk about. So for now, I think
you are the master of, like, the 900 GoBot list, the 2 billion Dino Warrior countdown.
No, I'm
you
not.
You don't want to be here for... Didn't you have, like, the 52... Q&A thing that you would do? I mean, you don't want to be here for 7 hours.
It's only 42. It takes about 2.5 to 3
We
hours.
can talk about this off air, actually.
Yeah. Anyway, we're going to go to a quick ad break, and we'll come back to close the show after this.
Like science fiction? Of course you do, or you wouldn't be listening to the Geekcast Radio Network. Well, the Marku 42's Universe podcast is an award-winning sci-fi radio show that's been around for over 10 years. We cover everything from Doctor Who to the MCU to pop culture and everything in between. A new show drops on Tuesday mornings on the GCRN website and all of the major podcast platforms. So listen to the Marku 42's Universe podcast from the universe and beyond.
Yo, Joe, and welcome to the Cracktastic Plastic Podcast, where a punk rock band of brothers get together to talk about one of our shared loves, toy collecting.
Toy hunt by day, punk rock band by night. We'll take any excuse to get in the van.
We all collect different toy lines like those real American heroes.
G.I. Joe! To the toys that are more than meets the eye, Transformers.
To He-Man and the Masters of the Universe.
From vintage to modern and all topics in between, you can always expect some rowdy and passionate discussion because we love talking toys here on the Cracktastic Plastic Podcast.
Oh, hey, I got something.
Since 2009, we have been the premier cartoon podcast here at the Geekcast Radio Network. We are Tooncast. From taking you beyond the cartoons we grew up with to seasonal saucy toon talk, and now we get the origins of toonsters everywhere as we ask guests 30 questions about their cartoon watching experiences, plus so much more. Tooncast is back. Join me, TFG and Mike, and the rest of the GCRN crew as we give you all the toon talk you will ever need, only on the GCRN. And wherever you consume your podcasts, we are beyond good, beyond evil, beyond your wildest imagination. We are all tunes all the time here on Tooncast.
Yeah.
All right, folks, we are back here on Toycast. This is Display Case any final thoughts before I run through the closing? Josh, you're first.
I still really appreciate Kenner and all they did from the 80s through the 90s, and I miss there being just a fun toy company like that. That's all I'm going to say.
Dave?
I agree. There's a part of me that's sad that everything skews towards collectors these days, and I wish there was like a cool, fun action figure toy line that was really for kids. I'm sure they're out there, and I just don't pay attention to them. But like, it's not like back in the day when Kenner like did all this crazy stuff. I miss that. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's the problem is the toy companies have to cater to everybody now. So you like Hasbro specifically, I know specifically to Transformers, they have a Transformers Kid line, a Transformers Everything line, and then Transformers that are more for collectors, and it's like they have to split all of that amongst 3 different things, and it's just crazy. All right, folks, thank you for joining us here on ToyCast. If you'd like to get in contact with us or leave feedback for the show, there are several ways to do so. Visit the website, geekcastradio.com, where you can listen to and comment on all of our content. Send an email to feedback@geekcastradio.com. Here are all the ways you can listen to us nowadays. Apple and Google Podcasts. Leave us reviews, please. Spotify and any other podcatching client you choose to use. Follow us on X. It is at Geekcast Radio for the network, at TF Toycast for the show. I am at TFG1Mike. Dave is not on social media unless you join the Toy World Order fans group over on Facebook. And Josh, I don't know what Josh does anymore.
I am sometimes on what we call X.
Yeah.
And I'm in the Toy World Order group. I try to be as active as I can in my life over there.
As I just mentioned, the Toy World Order fans group over on Facebook. You can also find us on Facebook. Search Geekcast Radio Network for the network and TF Toycast for the show. Next time, it'll be another display case. So for now, I am TFG1Mike with
Josh the Floorburger.
David Draper.
Join us next time when we'll be talking more toys here on ToyCast.
Eyes closed, pal.